What if the key to changing everything wasn't in what you said, but in what you stopped doing? Let me ask you something. How often have you found yourself giving and giving, pouring every ounce of your energy into someone who barely acknowledges it? You care too much, you chase too hard, and for what? To feel ignored, to feel invisible? Let's be real, you're exhausted. The more you care, the more they pull away. It's a cycle, isn't it? A cycle that leaves you feeling less attractive, less confident, and completely drained. When you stop caring, their reaction might shock you, but not for the reasons you think. Let's call out the big guns of wisdom, the Stoic legend Marcus Aurelius, who said, "He who controls himself controls the world." Here's the hard truth, right now, you're not in control. You're letting your emotions, your fears, and your need for validation dictate your every move. But when you take that control back, when you stop overcaring, that's when the dynamic changes. That's when you become the one they notice, the one they can't stop thinking about. Today, we're diving into the truth about what happens when you stop caring too much. And trust me, their reaction? It might just blow your mind. Before begin, if you are new at this channel, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. If you want to better reflect your Stoic spirit, you can get your own wallpapers from the link in the description. Let's get brutally honest. How many times have you stayed up at night overthinking their actions? How many times have you stared at your phone, waiting for a text that never comes? How many times have you bent over backward, trying to prove your worth to someone who didn't even see it? You've made yourself too available, too predictable, too desperate. And let me tell you, desperation is the most unattractive thing in the world. You're chasing someone who doesn't even need to chase you back. Why? Because you've made it easy for them. You've handed over all your power, all your confidence, all your worth. And for what? Breadcrumbs of attention. You've become so focused on getting them to notice you that you've forgotten something crucial. The moment you stop chasing, you stop being the one who's overlooked. The moment you stop caring, you reclaim your power. And that's when they start noticing. Picture this, you're a fire burning bright. But instead of tending to your own flame, you keep giving it away. You're handing out pieces of your light, hoping someone will finally say, "Wow, look at how bright they are." But all you're left with is smoke. And they don't even care, because they've grown comfortable in your warmth, never realizing that without you, they'd be standing in the cold. The truth about stopping: when you stop overcaring, you don't become less attractive. You become magnetic. Your silence, your absence, your ability to let go, it creates mystery. It forces them to wonder what's changed. Why aren't they chasing me anymore? Did I lose them? And that's when the shift happens. That's when they realize what they've lost. Stop caring, and watch how the power shifts. Suddenly, they're the ones who can't stop thinking about you. They're the ones checking their phone, replaying conversations, scrolling through old photos. Why? Because people value what feels rare, what feels hard to get. And when you stop handing out your attention like it's free, your value skyrockets. The fear of letting go. Let's address the fear you're probably feeling right now. What if I stop caring, and they don't notice? What if they don't come back? Here's the thing, you're so afraid of losing them that you're willing to lose yourself instead. And let me tell you, that's not love. That's self-betrayal. So, look at yourself. Look at the way you've been chasing, the way you've been giving, the way you've been waiting, hoping, begging for someone to see your worth. Now ask yourself this: what would happen if you stopped? If you turned that energy inward? If you chose yourself for once, take a deep breath, because this is where it begins. Type this affirmation in the comments right now: I choose me. Write it, declare it, own it. Because when you stop caring too much, you don't just change their perception of you, you change your perception of yourself. And that's the most powerful transformation of all. The paradox of overcaring. Let's talk about something that's been holding you back, overcaring. On the surface, caring seems like the right thing to do. You want to show how much they mean to you, how invested you are. You text them good morning before they're even awake. You remember every little detail about their life, hoping they'll notice. But here's the hard truth: the more you care, the more they pull away. Why? Because overcaring doesn't feel like love to them, it feels like pressure. It's like holding onto a bar of soap too tightly. The harder you grip, the faster it slips out of your hand. That's the paradox. Your constant effort, your endless availability, doesn't draw them closer. It pushes them further away. Imagine a plant. You know it needs water to survive, so you water it every day. Then you start watering it twice a day, just to be sure. You want it to grow, to thrive, to be the most beautiful plant it can be. But instead of blossoming, it wilts. The roots drown in all that water, suffocated by your good intentions. That's what overcaring does to a relationship. It drowns the natural flow, leaving no space for it to breathe. No room for the other person to grow toward you. Balance is key. When you stop overcaring, you're not giving up, you're creating space. You're giving the relationship room to breathe, to grow, to find balance. You're allowing the other person to step up, to show you their care, to meet you halfway. And here's the beautiful thing: when you pull back, the people who truly value you will lean in. They'll notice your absence, and they'll make an effort to fill the gap. But the ones who don't? They were never going to stay, no matter how much you gave. And that's not your loss, that's your liberation, the power of letting go. What's the worst that could happen if you stopped caring too much? And what's the best that could happen? Here's what I want you to do: write this affirmation in the comments below: I choose balance. Say it out loud, believe it, and let it guide you. Because when you choose balance, you're not just saving the relationship, you're saving yourself. Stay with me, because what's coming next will show you exactly why stepping back is the ultimate power move. You don't want to miss it. If you have any questions lingering in your mind, don't hold back. Throw them out in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going. And if everything is crystal clear and you're vibing with this content so far, take a second to press that like button. It not only helps the channel, but also shows that you're ready to take back control of your energy and your life. Number 2, the society lies. Is it only about you? Love yourself first, and everything else falls into line. Let's talk about one of the biggest lies society has fed us: if you just care enough, they'll love you back. It sounds noble, doesn't it? Selfless, like the more you give, the more you'll receive in return. But here's the brutal truth: society glorifies overcaring, overgiving, and sacrificing yourself for someone else as if that's the only way to prove your worth, and you've bought into that lie. You've been told that if you care more, give more, and try harder, you'll be seen, appreciated, and loved. But where has that left you? Let's not sugarcoat it. You're drained, you're doubting yourself, and you're stuck in this loop of thinking, maybe if I do just a little more, they'll finally notice me. Here's what society conveniently forgets to tell you: it's not about how much you give, it's about who you're giving to. Because pouring all your energy into the wrong person isn't love, it's self-neglect. And if you're waiting for their validation to feel whole, you're handing them the power to define your worth. Imagine a bank account. You keep depositing everything you have into someone else's account, hoping they'll eventually return the favor. But instead, they keep withdrawing, and you're left with nothing. Meanwhile, society claps and tells you that's what love is, sacrificing everything for someone else. But ask yourself this: who's clapping for you? Who's making deposits into your account? Here's the truth they don't want you to know: the kind of love that makes you sacrifice yourself isn't love, it's manipulation. And it's time to break free from that narrative. Let me share a real-life example. I once knew someone who gave everything to their partner. They rearranged their life, abandoned their hobbies, and even distanced themselves from friends just to be available. And guess what? their partner didn't reciprocate. Instead, they grew more distant, more detached. Oh, why? Because the more you give without boundaries, the less they value what you're offering. It's not because they're inherently bad people, it's because society teaches us to take advantage of what's freely given. Now think about your own life. How many times have you overgiven, overcared, and overextended yourself hoping to be appreciated? And how many times has it backfired? It's not your fault. You've been taught to believe that love is all about giving, but here's what they won't tell you: love isn't about losing yourself. Love is about partnership, balance, and mutual respect. As society also loves to tell us that pulling back is selfish, that if you stop caring, you're a bad person, a cold person, someone who doesn't deserve love. But here's the irony: the people who are truly worth your time and energy want you to have boundaries. They want you to be whole, to have your own life, to stand tall in your own confidence. The ones who benefit from your overcaring, they're the ones who fear your growth. Imagine being a candle in a room full of people. Society tells you that your job is to light up the entire room, even if it means burning yourself out. But what if, instead of trying to light up everyone else's world, you focused on protecting your flame? What if, by doing that, the right people naturally gravitated toward your light instead of you chasing after those who don't even notice the glow? And here's where the fear creeps in. Right now, your mind is probably saying, but if I stop giving, won't they leave? Won't they think I don't care? That fear, it's a product of society's lies. It's a product of years of being told that your worth is tied to how much you do for others. But let me ask you this: if they leave because you stopped overcaring, were they ever really there to begin with? Here's another lie you've been sold: if you don't focus on them, you're being selfish. Let me set the record straight: focusing on yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. It's about building a foundation so strong that no one else can shake it. Because let's face it, society doesn't celebrate self-love. It celebrates self-sacrifice, and you've been sacrificing yourself for people who don't deserve it. Think of a tree. Society would have you believe that your job is to give shade, fruit, and oxygen to everyone who walks by. But if you don't nurture your own roots, if you don't protect your own growth, you'll wither away. That's not selfish, that's nature. You can't give what you don't have. So let's challenge the lie. Let's flip the script. What if the most loving thing you could do, for yourself and for them, is to stop overcaring, to give them the space to step up, to meet you halfway, to show their effort, and if they don't? That's your answer. It's not just about you. It's about creating a dynamic where love can grow without you constantly watering a plant that refuses to bloom. It's about knowing that you're worthy of the same energy you give. Now let me hit you with this question: what if focusing on yourself isn't the end of the relationship? What if it's the beginning of something real? What if society has been wrong all along, and the only way to truly connect with someone is to show them that you're whole, with or without them? Write this in the comments: I choose my worth. Declare it, own it, and let it sink in, because the moment you stop believing the lie society tells you, you start living for yourself. And that, my friends, is when the real magic happens. Stay with me. What's coming next will show you how stepping back is the ultimate power move. Number 4, the transformation within you. Let's talk about the most important part of this entire journey, the transformation within you. Because when you finally step back, when you stop overcaring and let go of the endless chase, something profound happens. It's not just about how they react or whether they notice, it's about how you change. Pulling back gives you the space to see things clearly, both in the relationship and within yourself. Think about it: when you're in the thick of it, constantly trying, constantly giving, your vision is clouded. It's like being too close to a painting. Up close, all you see are the brush strokes, the imperfections, the tiny details that don't make sense. But when you step back, the whole masterpiece comes into focus. That's what stepping away from overcaring does for your life. When you're caught up in overgiving, your perspective is skewed. You're so focused on their actions, their words, their responses, that you lose sight of the bigger picture. You miss the red flags, the imbalances, and the ways you've been neglecting yourself, but when you pull back, it's like stepping out of the fog. Suddenly, you see the relationship for what it truly is, whether it's something worth nurturing or something that's been draining you. And here's the beautiful part: pulling back doesn't just give you clarity about the relationship, it gives you clarity about yourself. You start to remember who you are outside of their validation. You reconnect with your own needs, your own dreams, your own worth. You realize that your identity isn't tied to their approval. It's something you've had all along, buried beneath the layers of overcaring. Let's get real for a second. When was the last time you did something purely for yourself? Not to impress them, not to get their attention, but just because it made you happy. When you step back, you create the space to rediscover those things. Maybe it's a hobby you abandoned, a goal you put on hold, or a part of yourself you've been neglecting. Whatever it is, pulling back allows you to pour your energy back into your own life instead of giving it all away. Detachment isn't about being cold or indifferent, it's about finding peace. Imagine you're holding a rope tied to a heavy weight. You've been pulling and pulling, trying to move it closer, trying to make it budge, but the more you pull, the more exhausted you become. Letting go of that rope doesn't mean you've failed, it means you've chosen to stop exhausting yourself over something you can't control. When you let go, you regain your sense of peace. You stop overthinking every text, every conversation, every moment of silence. You stop basing your self-worth on how someone else treats you, and in that quiet, in that stillness, you find something even more valuable: your purpose. You start to see that your life isn't defined by this one relationship or this one person. Your worth isn't tied to whether or not they notice your absence, it's tied to the way you show up for yourself, the way you choose to live, the way you decide to love yourself first. Here's the truth that nobody tells you: letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying. You stop carrying the weight of their emotions, their reactions, their opinions. You stop carrying the fear that you're not enough, and in that release, you find freedom. Think about a bird that's been caged for years. It doesn't even realize it's trapped because the cage has become its reality. But when the door is opened and it finally takes flight, it experiences a freedom it never knew existed. That's what happens when you detach. You realize that the cage you were in wasn't built by them, it was built by your own fears, your own need for validation. And the moment you step back, you free yourself. This transformation isn't just about relationships, it's about every aspect of your life. When you stop overcaring in one area, you start to see how that same pattern has played out in other places. You realize how often you've put yourself last, how often you've tried to earn love and approval instead of knowing you deserved it all along. But here's the best part: this transformation is permanent. Once you see your worth, once you reclaim your peace, you can't go back to the way things were. You've leveled up. You've become someone who knows their value, who doesn't settle, who doesn't chase. So let me leave you with this: you are enough, with or without them. Write that affirmation in the comments below: I am enough, with or without them. Say it, believe it, let it anchor you in this new reality. Because this transformation isn't just about letting go of someone else, it's about stepping into the best version of yourself. Stay with me, because what's coming next will empower you even further. The journey is just beginning. Number 5, what you gain from letting go. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Let's talk about what happens when you let go, not just of overcaring, but of the need to control outcomes, to force connections, and to chase people who don't value your presence. The moment you step back, something remarkable begins to unfold. You start to restore balance in your life, and in that balance, you find clarity, confidence, and a deeper understanding of who truly deserves to be in your orbit. At first, letting go feels uncomfortable, doesn't it? You've been so used to overgiving, overthinking, and overanalyzing that stepping back feels like losing control. But here's the truth: control was never yours to begin with. The only thing you ever truly control is yourself, your actions, your energy, your peace. And when you focus on that, when you stop trying to manage someone else's feelings or reactions, you free yourself from a weight you were never meant to carry. Imagine you're holding a seesaw in perfect balance. On one side is your effort, and on the other is theirs. But lately, the balance has tipped, hasn't it? You're pouring so much into the relationship that your side is weighed down, while theirs floats effortlessly. When you let go, when you stop over-caring, you're no longer trying to force that balance. You're allowing it to reset naturally. And in that reset, something powerful happens. You realize you were never meant to carry both sides. Stepping back doesn't just restore balance, it rebuilds your confidence. When you let go of the need to chase, you send a message, not just to them, but to yourself: I am enough. You begin to see that your worth isn't tied to how much you give or how hard you try. It's intrinsic. It's yours. And the more you reclaim that truth, the more you start to feel a quiet, unshakable confidence growing within you. Here's what's fascinating: that confidence, it's magnetic. People are drawn to those who know their own worth, who don't seek validation from others, but radiate it from within. When you let go, you're not just stepping back, you're stepping into your power. You're showing the world that you're not desperate for anyone's attention because you found everything you need within yourself. Let's talk about what else you gain: clarity. The moment you stop over-caring, you begin to see who truly values you. The ones who step up, who notice your absence, who make an effort to bridge the gap, those are the people who deserve your energy. But the ones who fade away, the ones who don't notice, or worse, don't care, they're showing you something valuable too. They're showing you that your effort was one-sided. And while that realization might sting, it's also liberating. Because once you know who truly values you, you can stop wasting your time on those who don't. Here's a metaphor for you: imagine you're shining a spotlight. When you focus it on one person, they're illuminated, basking in the light. But when you redirect that spotlight inward, you see yourself clearly for the first time. You see your strength, your resilience, your worth. That's what letting go does. It redirects your energy back to where it belongs, on you. The Stoics were masters of this mindset. Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Letting go isn't about giving up on people, it's about giving yourself the freedom to focus on what you can control: your actions, your growth, and your peace. When you stop trying to control how others see you or respond to you, you gain control over something far more important: your own happiness. Think about it. How much of your energy has been spent trying to make someone else see your worth? How much time have you wasted wondering what they're thinking, why they're distant, or if you've done something wrong? Letting go frees you from that endless cycle. It allows you to take all that energy and pour it into something meaningful: your passions, your goals, your own growth. Imagine a scale that's been tipped for years, with your happiness hanging precariously on one side, weighed down by their validation. Letting go is like removing their weight from the scale entirely. Suddenly, you're free to rise, to find balance, to discover that your happiness was never theirs to control in the first place. And let's not forget about peace. When you let go, you create space for peace to flourish. You're no longer consumed by the need to please, the fear of losing, or the anxiety of waiting. Instead, you're present. You're focused on what brings you joy, not on what someone else might or might not be thinking. That peace, it's priceless. Here's another way to look at it. Imagine a boat tied to a dock. You've been standing on the dock, holding the rope, trying to pull the boat closer, trying to make it stay. But what happens when you let go of the rope? The boat might drift away, or it might stay anchored nearby. Either way, you're free to stand tall on the dock, knowing you're no longer tethered to something that isn't moving toward you. So here's the question: what could you gain from letting go? Balance, confidence, clarity, and peace, all the things you've been searching for but couldn't find while you were busy chasing someone else's approval. Write this affirmation in the comments: I choose my peace. Say it, believe it, and let it guide you. Because when you let go, you're not losing anything, you're gaining everything. Stay with me, there's more to uncover, and you won't want to miss it. Number 6, how to stop caring without being cold. Stopping caring too much doesn't mean shutting off your emotions or becoming cold-hearted. It's not about punishing someone or playing games. It's about something far more powerful: redirecting your energy inward. When you stop pouring every ounce of your effort into someone else, you give yourself the chance to grow, to thrive, and to reclaim your sense of self. Imagine you're holding a kite. The harder you grip the string, trying to control its every move, the more you restrict its ability to soar. But when you loosen your grip, when you let it find its own way in the wind, that's when it truly flies. Stopping overcaring is like letting go of that kite, not to lose it, but to see if it comes back to you naturally. The first step is redirecting your energy inward. Start by asking yourself, what have I been neglecting in my life while focusing so much on them? Maybe it's a hobby you used to love, a goal you've been putting off, or even just your own well-being. Whatever it is, now is the time to pour that energy into yourself. Reconnect with your passions, your purpose, your desires. When you do, you start to realize that your happiness doesn't depend on someone else's actions, it depends on your own choices. It might feel strange at first. You're so used to giving, to chasing, to seeking approval, that the idea of focusing on yourself might feel selfish. But here's the truth: self-care is not selfish, it's necessary. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you want to be your best for anyone else, you first have to be your best for yourself. When you start nurturing yourself, you become more grounded, more whole, more attractive. Not just to others, but to yourself. Now, here's the kicker: when you stop overcaring, you don't just benefit yourself. You benefit the relationship, too. Because when you're no longer dependent on someone else's validation, you show up as your true self. You're not acting out of need, you're acting out of choice. You're not desperate for their attention, you're confident in who you are. And that confidence is magnetic. People are drawn to those who don't need them to complete them, but rather, those who bring something to the table without any strings attached. So, how do you stop caring without being cold? You focus on yourself. You stop chasing, stop overgiving, stop seeking validation. Instead, you create a life that's rich with your own purpose and passions. You let go of the need to control how others feel about you. You become whole on your own, and in doing so, you create space for deeper, more meaningful connections.